Shadowverse.
Greetings, I'm Shad, and I want to talk a little bit about medieval footwear, which is actually a more interesting subject than you might assume. You see, if you're ever wanting to depict a character in a medieval-styled setting, if it's fantasy, historical fiction, if you're doing LARP, reenactment, or any number of those things, it is interesting to ponder, like, what is the proper type of footwear that people wore in the medieval period? Now, that is, of course, a more complicated statement, because there was a lot of variety. They never just wore one type, and it's dependent on period, region, and other things. But this deeper analysis was prompted by my artistic pursuits. I like designing characters, writing, and everything like that. More recently, I was thinking about a character who would be a type of master swordsman, in the style of the Master Samurai anime that we enjoy. I love Rurouni Kenshin, and I was thinking about, alright, well, I'd like to see a medieval version of that, and even made a community post here and there with some artistic kind of mock-ups that I made with multiple tools to make some concept character ideas. And this was the first image I made here, and it was a bit more fantasy inspired, and I just kind of went with the generic type of footwear that oftentimes people default to. And he's wearing a type of brigandine. The upper body is passable. There, it's not perfect. I like the chainmail effects, but the underneath the waist is a more kind of fantasy stylized interpretation. And I liked it, but then as the idea was progressing and evolving, I felt it would fit more with this idea to put him in a more traditional, actual historical period, a medieval setting, and have him wear more traditional medieval clothes. If he's a master swordsman, it would look cooler if he didn't wear armor because he just didn't need to, he could dodge everything. And that made me reassess his outfit, which then led me to doing a deeper dive into the footwear specifically, because I'll show you some of the different things that I did, and then some of the things that I found in medieval art, which is quite interesting. Even surprised me. I found some things that I didn't realize were medieval period. I thought they kind of came in later in the Renaissance, and so it's broadened my appreciation of medieval footwear, and now I'm going to be, drawing from that wider breadth of knowledge that I have now in my character designs, which I really enjoy, and I want to share it with you for a reference that you could also have if you're designing characters, if you're D&D, like if you're also writing historical fiction, or just having a deeper understanding of medieval period, right? And so this is just the processes, and it takes a lot more involved. I think it's like 70 different stages of edits for this one. So this was the second design I did. The first one has more perspective, and then I kind of balanced. But anyway, so you'll see that is wearing more traditional medieval outfits, pointed shoes, right, which is a more distinctly medieval style. Is wearing tights with a codpiece and a type of medieval doublet. It's hard to see the outfit properly, so I did another one showing him just standing, and I changed the collar a bit with it. And this is the outfit here. So yeah, tights with codpiece. Now the codpiece is interesting because that's kind of like the medieval zipper or fly, okay? When the guy wanted to go to the toilet. It first was involved with the fact that the tights or hosen actually had a separate thing for each leg, and they needed something to cover the midsection, and the codpiece evolved out of that. But it was also an item of utility to enable them to go to the toilet and open up that region. Now we just have zippers or flies, right? But no, so just that's a side note on the codpiece, and kind of happy with them. I'm still going to adapt with the design, and as I reached the adapt side, I started to think about what type of shoes should he wear, because I'm interested to see, him wearing larger boots. And then I was thinking, okay, what would be the more traditional styled medieval boot? Because we have this previous image that I did here, and they looked not necessarily medieval. So I started to look into more medieval art with a specific focus on the medieval footwear. And there were some really interesting things that I found. So a lot of these images will date to around the 1400s and 1500s. So it's right at the end of the medieval period. I think some can come a bit earlier to like the 1300s, so 14th century and stuff. But already, take a look at this guy right here. These boots surprise me because one of the notions that is often shared, and I've shared this before as well, that the shoes didn't go much past the ankle in the medieval period, and they were usually smaller, and they only got higher in the Renaissance, when there's actually a lot of medieval art showing that they had a much wider variety and styles of footwear with distinct cuffed boots. But what you'll notice here, because this is medieval period, these are cuffed boots, but with pointed toes. The distinct medieval style, you can see the pointed toes on the woman there as well. And I hazard to guess that these are a type of riding boots, because have a look at the spurs. He's got spurs on his boots for riding a horse. Now, I'm going to show multiple examples. This isn't the only time where these style of boots appear, but there's a wide variety of them, and I want to go through some with you, but have a look here. Again, thigh-high, cuffed boots, pointed toes. Like, genuinely very stylish, and what they're also wearing is, again, a type of medieval doublet here. This guy over here, that looks like a type of overcoat. The name terminology can get complicated. Let's focus on the boots here. So, multiple people, both leather and blackened boots there. And if we take a look here, this guy, these are good. You see a cuff right there. Again, thigh-high, pointed, but what you'll notice is that a lot of pointed toes. So, pointed toes is a very distinct and common thing for medieval style. So, that's definitely what I'll be giving my character design, pointed toes. One of the things that you might... These laces, from what I have been able to research, laces like this weren't really common. And so if I wanted to be 100% accurate, I'd fix that. Sometimes I just want to finish the image and I'll leave it as that, without going into all the crazy details. So here we have calf-high boots. No cuff kind of at the top. But pretty large, like in terms of the size, with, again, pointed toes. Now, these are getting into the same kind of realm that people generally associate with medieval period stuff. But you'll notice here, side laces, okay? Not as pointed, but there is a bit of a point there. What I find interesting is the colouring. White shoes, but here we have white and red, and this isn't the only time where, because remember, medieval people loved colour, and so not only are we going to see coloured footwear, but multicoloured footwear with breaks in them, like what we see here. Look, we have calf-high boots, but on the cuff, distinctly different colour. Okay, a blue colour and a red colour. Also, see where the kind of lacing is right on the side here? This looks more Renaissance, but there are examples of this style from what looks to be earlier period. This type of shoe I found interesting because I don't know what this is. It's a type of kind of cloth wrapping around the calf that sits on top of the shoe. Type of leg warmers or something? Let me know in the comments if you know more about these. I find those quite interesting. Alright, so here we see kind of the more standard style medieval shoes that people more generally associate with late medieval period. And the thing is, though, it's not limited to that style. Look at these. Again, thigh-high, cuffed, pointed toes, though. One of the more consistent things, it seems like that it almost goes beyond just a style. It's almost universal. There's so nearly everyone's shoes are pointed-toed. So that seems to be more common than rounded shoe points. So wide ones. Okay, so here we have like more standardized boots, and this is dated to the 1400s. Okay, but still thigh-high 1400. That's important to know because it is a misconception to think that just even in the 1400s, shoes and boots didn't go higher, didn't reach up to the calf. No, they did, and sometimes they even went higher. Again, this looks a bit later. This is like 1500s to even perhaps 1600s. but again, different color on the cuff. Much more form-fitting shoes, pointed toes once again, and you see the kind of side stitching right there. But we also see some blued kind of cuffed boots behind. Different edges. So see how the top edge here has like a pattern on it? It's another thing to kind of point out. These seem rounded but half pointed as well, but not as pointed as the more extreme kind of styles. But we see this kind of pattern on the shoes again. See down here? Right there. So that's a cool artistic kind of flair to pay attention to. These shoes here look at slightly pointed as well. So, and also, like, in terms of medieval fashion, they had such variety and flair. Like, look at what these guys are wearing. See this embroidered, you know, top underneath what looks to be kind of cloth-covered armor, honestly. That looks like a breastplate. There, that looks like a jupon. Okay, have a look at the shoes, all right? And so with the jupon, this lands us more around 1400, so 15th century. And we have a cuffed boot, slightly pointed, but not extremely. But the cuff has a different color. And look like he's wearing red hose, a blue jupon, and, you know, a yellow shirt underneath. Like, lots of color, remember? They loved color. So these ones are kind of interesting. See, it's like a wider, not cuffed, but the top of the boot has a wider brim that's kind of hanging and sagging a little bit in a stylistic way. Green this time. Then white hose. Look, just look at the colors, right? So that's the reason why I gave my character here green hose and a blue top, because they loved that color. That's a distinctive feature of the period, not these muted, you know, low saturated kind of browns and grays that we see in Hollywood all the time. So yeah, when I don't know if I'll ever get around to developing the character more. There's other stories I'm working on, but if I do get around to it, that's something I'm going to be paying attention to a lot, making sure that this period is depicted more accurately. So look at these boots, right? These are even higher. They're reaching the knee with a different kind of cuff on the top. But this looks like 15th century, 1400s. It could actually be 1300s, 14th century. It's got what looks to be either a messer or a falchion on his side here. But the artwork style does look to be early. When I say early, like I'm talking earlier than the 1400s, earlier than the 15th century. So that shows that even in quite likely the 1300s or 14th century, there are boots that were not just kind of small shoes. No, the boots reached higher. Like, look at this one. Same style of artwork. And higher cuffs, right, reaching right there. Another example here, different coloured. Your red cuffs here, very distinct points. These ones kind of slightly points, but these ones have long points, okay? Long pointed boots. And there are so many, so some more examples of the thigh high cuff boots. What do we see here again? Spurs. These look like a type of riding boot, because when they appear, it's not uncommon to see those spurs on their ankles. Sorry, heels. More examples of boots reaching near the knee. Look at these ones, right? Big pointed boots, red cuffs, and big spurs as well. And it looks like around maybe 1300s or 14th century styled artwork. We have red boots here, pointed. Now we see someone on a horse with thigh-high boots, right? It even looks like a strap that's connecting the boot to the belt, which would hold it up. Because that would be another interesting thing about this style of boot. Would they sag and fall down? Okay, so it seems like it might have been a fashion style to actually have like an attachment that connects it to probably the belt on the hose. Holding it up, we see side lacing here, spurs, points on the boots as well. So I think, you know, we could say that this is a fairly common type of medieval riding boot. And this one is red, you know, because they enjoyed color. More examples are just kind of cuffed boots here. Seen that one. This is a reenactor who that looks like reenacting an image from Talhofer. And he's done a thing on the cast. I'd like to know what that is exactly. But that does appear more than once. Nice cuffed yellow boot there. Now, these ones are interesting. Look at how big these are. And see how they're sagging? They're wide. And they're sagging a bit low. This is a medieval archer. And so with looking at the period, this one... Because sometimes you can get an idea of the period of where the artwork comes from, because each period has a more common style, and the later style Renaissance ones look a little bit more polished in terms of their finer finish. This image, for instance, looks like one of the a side character in one of the illuminated books. And so when they had their books and everything, their illuminated manuscripts would have images and artwork on the borders and underneath and stuff. And this looks like one of those images there. Great source for medieval history and getting an idea of what things look like. And yeah, these ones, they don't actually have a high cuff, but they are wide and they go all the way up to the thigh. So those ones are particularly interesting. Other examples of cuffed boots here. And the wide saggy style of boots is actually is another common kind of thing that you do see appearing more than once. These ones don't go as high as the previous example, but see how kind of wide and then they kind of wrinkle and get saggy as well. So these are really cool, interesting styles that I am looking forward to using and adapting into some of my medieval-inspired designs. Just really, really cool stuff. More saggy boot there. And so there is a wealth of resources that you can get online, which is so cool. Like a point, there's another style. We see the cuff kind of points downways. And there's a couple of other examples where a cuff points in a certain direction. See, this is an example of a more Renaissance style looking artwork just by the type of kind of finish and polish on it. But okay, here's some other examples. See how the cuff points in one direction? Okay, and then there's wrinkles on the boot. Another style that comes up more than once. And they're wearing some style, like look at those jupons that they're wearing over there. Those are pretty cool. And then again, check out these big thigh-high riding boots, spurs on the heels as well. And there's just more examples, but now we're kind of repeating, like again, saggy kind of wide boots. But it goes to show you there is so much variety. And again, look at the color. We've got red there, black, and then we've got other colors. Yellow comes up, thigh-high. Again, the guys wearing the thigh boots, they got the spurs on them as well. So this looks like, again, like if you're riding a horse, good justification to give you a character or a person or reenactment design. Look at these big boots. And these are medieval. These are all like appearing multiple times in medieval art. Look, the argument is, when does the medieval period end and the Renaissance begin? It gets grey, okay? But I kind of see the medieval period lasting until the end of the 1500s. So I wanted to share this with you because I find it deeply interesting, and it also broadened my appreciation, understanding medieval boots. Like, check out these ones. See how they got this interesting cuff? And so I'm going to have a lot of fun incorporating this style of stuff into my designs and understanding. Look at these. Like, that's just got so much style. I'm thinking I might need to give my character those riding boots all the way up to the thighs. Or at least I'll add it onto the image and make a version of it and to see what it looks like. But thank you for joining me in this kind of exploration of medieval footwear. I hope you've enjoyed. I certainly have. I find it a very fascinating subject, and I hope to see you on the next video here on Shadowversity. In fact, you might want to check out one of my previous medieval misconception videos, like the fact that a lot more medieval people knew how to read and write than many people suppose. Check it out. It's right there. Hope to see you there, and until that time, farewell.